May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Yeah, baby. Live guitar tracks on. Hey there, you are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, your host. Guy that was just playing guitar just a few minutes ago, and a guy who is betting heavy on Doritos futures following the legalization of marijuana in California.
Smart man.
And with me on the air today is a man who no longer needs to show his medical card in alleyways around San Diego from just outside Miramar Air Force Base at San Diego. It's Paul B. How's it going, Paul?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Nice.
Doritos futures, eh?
Yes.
I didn't realize there was such a thing, but I guess it just makes sense.
Dude, sales of Doritos, Frito-Lay stock just goes flying in the face of legalization of marijuana in California.
Are you happy about that?
I don't care. Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. I don't feel one way or another about it. I don't really smoke weed, anymore. And so there was a day when it made sense. That is not today. And so I don't
really anymore either, but I'm just, I am glad about it. Just the fact that, if you're going to stop throwing people in jail for no good reason, I'll take that as a win. On the downside, I can definitely see Philip Morris and everyone else coming in and just, taking over the industry and turning a good natural thing into, some chemical infused corporate monstrosity.
No doubt.
So that's probably not going to be great, but we'll see.
The day weeds sold out. The weed industry sells out. Ironic, but true. Fun. Well, if you have a question for me out there in podcasting radio land, Intertalk peoples, you can email me at scott@robertsoncom2ms.com, and I will be sure to answer anything right on the show or try to get it into a future show so we can dig into your thoughts. You can always find my posts, my client news clips, things that we're placing for clients out there in the world, and other tidbits at Robertson.com Facebook page or on Twitter at Robertson.com 2Ms like communications. So reach out and connect. We're going to entertain you, and hopefully you'll get some cool tips too. I thought for today's show that we would talk about, I call it ethical marketing. I've been toying around with this idea for a while of making a show about ethical marketing, but I thought it would be a good idea to just delve right into it today and make this show about that. I also made it the focus of a blog post in my e-newsletter and a few other things, so I could kind of explore it a bit in print. But the idea is, kind of the when you have a marketing degree, sooner or later you're going to have to take an ethics and marketing type of class, and they ask you these big, deep, hard-hitting questions like, is it possible to persuade people to do and buy things in an ethical manner? Where do their rights to privacy collide with your right to communicate? And then things like that are but the question of ethics comes up a lot, and we talk kind of through it and around it. But I thought we would just kind of talk right into it today about the idea. We're gonna delve deep into the sort of the ethics of marketing, kind of where we've been with it, where it's going, so many different aspects of this that we could cover. Definitely won't have time to cover it all, but hopefully we'll give you a good discussion that will get you thinking. So we're going to start with that first question, talking about persuasion. The goal of most marketing, all marketing, is to persuade someone to kind of do or buy something. And then the thing that I always heard when I was in ad school, my advertising classes were, what about the classic argument that doesn't advertising make people buy things that they don't want or need? So we're gonna tackle that one head on in a second, but I like to do a little bit of definition at the first part of the segment so that we're all kind of reading off the same song sheet, so to speak. Ethics in marketing is really an area of applied ethics, which deals with the moral principles. Don't laugh. Don't start laughing yet. Geez. Behind the operation and regulation of marketing. And we're talking about things like, big issues like invasion of privacy, stereotyping, profiling, targeting, retargeting, the vulnerable, as they say, excluding people from the market, and pricing as well. Pricing always falls into marketing. We don't always talk about pricing in marketing, but of course it is one of the 4 Ps. The last P, actually. There you go. And so ethics does come into pricing, and particularly when you're talking about things that everybody needs, like healthcare insurance. And believe you me, healthcare has been very interesting, much more interesting than it ever was in the past, these past few years, and it's going to get a lot more interesting as government tries to kind of find its place in what does it need to do, right? If the argument on the government side is if the market behaved responsibly, if they priced things appropriately, they were ethical and moral and all that fun stuff, then there would be no need for oversight, right? And honestly, you can extend that argument into everything they do in business. And also, we know for a fact that, politics is about power, right? So there's even if it's in the guise of helping the consumer, make no mistake that the power motive is still in there. So let's tackle that first question, because I want to make sure that we had a good an opportunity to kind of voice that out. Is it ethical to persuade someone to do or buy something even if they don't want it? And I think the answer is a resounding it depends. Which most people, when I say it depends, most people are like, oh yeah, spoken like a true marketing consultant. But hear me out, right? There is a case to be made that, if you're going to define things by what people want, quote unquote want, then that is going to be the things that are on their radar right now. Things that they want. Hey, I'm out of milk. I need milk. Boom. I am out of gas in my car. Hey, what do you know? A gas station. That kind of thing, right? That's that sphere. But a lot of things that we deal with, particularly in the PR side, and particularly on the high-tech PR side, is a lot of new breakthrough stuff. What if customers don't know they want it yet because they really haven't been educated about what's possible? What if after being educated, they would want it? Things like, let's look at HD TV. Several years ago, somebody, tries to sell you HD TV. You're happy with 420. You're happy with 720. You're happy with that resolution. That's the resolution of television. You've been taught that's how TV is. Boom. Then when somebody comes in and says, "Wait a minute, it can be sharper." It can be sharper. We can put more pixels in this bad boy, and it's going to change your world or whatever. And then you see it, and then the content providers get on board and they start producing content with it, and then you get spoiled on it, right? And you can't even watch television now. That's not HD TV because your eyes get used to the HD, and then of course the same thing happens when they come up with Ultra HD TV. Although it's not as pronounced, honestly. I got to say personally, I've looked at Ultra HD TVs before next to HD TVs, and I just don't see it. It must be like an emperor has new clothes kind of thing. But I'm telling you right here, I have 20/20 vision and I don't see it. Oh, look, and they do this like emperor's new clothes thing. They're like, no, look, see how the reds are much more red. I'm like, no, I don't. They're red, actually. And, you can only believe your own eyes. That's what I say. But I don't know. Technology always be pushing the envelope. But on the ethical side of things, I've been involved in so many things that are on the cusp of, a lot of my business is introducing new technology. I was involved with Warner Brothers when we came out with DVD audio, 5.1 channel audio experience that people didn't know they want. They're fine with MP3s. Actually, the Consumer Electronics Association launched a whole big campaign about, for audiophiles and folks saying MP3 is not good enough. MP3 is not good enough. And the whole world pushed back and said, yeah, it is. It's fine. Actually fine with us, and you can't push on the ocean. right? So what you do is you find in that case, they found their tribe of high-end audiophiles and people who felt like they could hear a difference. And those people, maybe they can hear a difference. I don't know. You can only hear what your ears hear. But there are things that fall in this bucket like, drones, solar panels, electric cars, and obviously from a marketing communications standpoint, it is incumbent upon new technology companies to educate the market about here's what we've got and isn't it cool and that sort of thing. And I really don't consider that to be unethical or persuading someone to do or buy something that they don't want, because the idea is they at least have to have the opportunity to realize what they might want if it were available, right? That's my feeling on the subject. I'm a big believer in people are responsible for their own lives, their own choices, their own stuff. So I don't see the argument where big bad advertising and public relations industries are, one of my favorite sayings is it's marketing, not mind control. Well, the people who fall heavy on this side of the fence and say it's unethical to persuade someone to do or buy something that they don't want or need, and that our industries purport to do that, I honestly don't believe that's possible. I think that is giving marketing way too much power and way too much credit in this world. As someone who does it professionally every single day, I will tell you that it is not possible to persuade. It's not hypnosis. It's not a Svengali Houdini trick up here where we're like, and you will want this. People buy for their own reasons. Now, they can, and they are responsible for those choices on whatever level. There is no marketing that exists that can circumvent the human brain's ability to kind of awaken and know that they want something and that they need it. And again, as we've talked about many times in the show, that stuff is powerful. The things that people desire are the things that they will ultimately get, the things that they will drive forward and they will get. And there is no way that you could stop that from happening. So what you want to do from a marketing perspective is you want to make sure that your stuff, as we've talked about lots of times on this show, that your stuff ties into the stuff that they already want. And if you're able to do that in a really powerful way, you're going to see sales from it. You're going to see that's the definition of marketing. You're right there. Now, and there's so much to talk about on this, but I wanted to talk about cold calling for a second. I was in a presentation this week, and a sales rep was speaking, and he said, I cold call companies all the time, and I get it, the owners on the phone, and sometimes it takes me 9 or 10 times, but eventually I'll be able to convince them, and I'll be able to get through there. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and obviously, this is the difference between sales and marketing, and I get that, but from a marketing perspective, there is a better way. There is a better way than that. That is the old way, and I understand why it was necessary to do things that way. I understand, my history. I understand why we advertise and why we used to do things that way and where we kind of came from. But I would just submit to you that anything that interrupts people, anything that is an interruption, is not going to be nearly as effective. And yes, it could work. And yes, you might call them 10 times and you could beat them right into submission. I mean, there's plenty of people who are married just because of that reason. They're like, I wouldn't give up. I just kept calling her. I kept calling her. Now, easy stalker, seriously. But there are plenty of stories that are kind of cute like that and, stood outside her window with the boombox blasting and great. Good for you. Congratulations. You're a stalker. But the better way to do it in 2016, which for our purposes, that's the year we're in right now. So, the better way to do that is to be more attraction-minded than interruption-minded. What does attraction-minded mean? Well, again, if you can make your stuff, tie into their stuff, and you can attract an audience to your message, to what you're doing, we're going to talk about a little bit more of that. Some examples in the winning and losing today have some great examples of what I'm talking about. But if you can be an attractor, then you won't need to be an interrupter. Do you know how many cold calls I make on behalf of Robertson Communications? Yeah, 0. You're darn right. I don't make any. I do a ton of business, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My company's doing great. No cold calling involved, right? Because I have something they want. And I know how to put it out there in a way that it will attract the right people to me. Not everybody's going to be a great client for me. Some people want a marketing yes man. Some people want other, people to, execute their vision. Great, but if you've heard me speak, you're going to hear mine. That's what people pay for, and that's what my clients want. So I do it that way. Very, very important. Let's talk about so many things to talk about when it comes to ethics, but let's talk about privacy for a second. Can or should you sell customer information? Big question. You see it coming up a lot, right? Big question. Customers shop on your store. They leave an electronic trail that provides you with a lot of information, name and address, what they bought, that kind of thing. Let's say somebody contacts you and says they'd like to buy that data from you. Should you make that sale? Do you even have the right to use that information? And do you have the right information to sell it? I don't think so. I think, again, it all comes from your mindset. And I get that digital marketing has this mindset, sometimes of, all we really care about sales. All we care about sales, and that's what we measure, and we've got this kind of thing, and that's why they do things like retargeting and marketing automation and telemarketing and all these kind of things. But I would submit to you that you should be in the long-term relationship business. Marketing is not about the sale once. It's about the sale multiple times. It's about keeping people on the brand carousel as we go round and round and round, because that's how you make cha-ching more money, right? It's much harder to, keep selling individual people one time, burn them out, and then you have to find new individual people. And let's face it, there's only 7 billion people in the world, so you're going to run out of people, got to say. So, in situations like that, I don't think it's right to sell data. I don't think it's right. I don't think that's why the customer gives you their information. I don't think the government should have ever had to be involved in this situation. I think that the reason that they're involved is because you have opportunistic and unethical people out there selling our stuff, and they shouldn't be doing it. But you are tuned right now to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader on Music Biz Talk. Come on back. We're going to talk about who's winning and who's a losing. See you in a few.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Tracy Smith
and Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock right here on the Intertalk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all that. SilverTigerProduction.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday, everybody. And happy Veterans Day to our veterans out there. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. And I am Scott, hanging out. We're talking about ethics. Paul's with me.
Yeah.
He's got ethics. How are your ethics?
I got ethics for days, son.
Days, baby.
You're guitar happy over there, huh?
I was rocking. I was laying down his little solo track while that intro music was going.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, cool. So we're talking about ethical marketing today, and in the context of that, let's talk about who's blowing it. That's so negative. Let's talk about who's winning and losing this week, as we always do. Well, it was a slow news week. Not much happened. It was pretty slow. What can I tell you? No, I'm just
nothing much.
Nothing much. Just
nothing for anyone to worry about.
No.
Stay in your homes. Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. Traffic will continue as usual. Donald J. Trump won the presidency. Looky there. And boy, did everybody, all those smart people with all those polls and all that great data, man, did they get that wrong. Right? I mean, what I always say on the show, right? You've got your data and it makes you feel good. But when you're talking about human behavior, things can get unpredictable really, really quickly. And they're looking at the wrong metrics. They're looking at the wrong clock. The clock that I told them they should be looking at is trust in government numbers. Remember when I said that for a bunch of months back? We had to pull that clip. But I said trust in government is at an all-time low. Do not be surprised that any incumbent is going, and anybody tied to that system is going to get the broom, man. It's not gonna happen because trust in government numbers are at an all-time low.
I'm sorry, which side of the broom are they gonna get?
The what part they grind it down? No, I'm just kidding. The part they grind down in the blender, like on Blend Tech. That was cool. Yeah, very cool. Well, got to put Donald Trump in the winning category. Historic victory. No one. The man's never even served on like a PTA or city council, and he goes from no political jobs to the political job, and that's never happened before. There's never been anybody outside the system that far that's made it this far, and that certainly has won. But he really struck a chord, particularly with folks that have really lost a lot of trust in what's coming out of Washington. So anyway, should be very, very interesting from a marketing communications standpoint. PR was obviously a huge part of the strategy. And negative PR actually played into the strategy. That old adage. Somebody said to me at a party this week. They said they go, well, I guess there's no all press is good press. Even negative press is good press. And I typically say no to that. And obviously I do believe that, but there's no way that you can argue that the fact that every time he would say something crazy and get millions of media impressions, it kept his name in the public eye, and he ultimately ended up spending less and winning the office. So, but boy, everybody got that whole thing wrong. And so take that lesson back to your company. Just because you have data that proves something doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's going to go that way, especially when you're talking about human behavior. Human behavior, very, very important piece. So losing this week, or winning maybe, I don't know. Samsung is now running full-page apology ads over the Galaxy 7 Note recall. To our valued customers at Samsung, we innovate to deliver breakthrough technologies that enrich people's lives, yada, yada. And an important tenet of our mission to offer best-in-class safety and quality. Recently, we fell short in this promise. Burned up some people's Jeeps, honestly. It was sad. Got all your phones collected by airport security. We did a lot of bad stuff. So to try to kind of restore some consumer goodwill, they're running these full-page apology ads. And don't forget, falling closely on the heels of Wells Fargo running full-page apology ads about their, big boo-boo of customers. Speaking of ethics, by the way, and I love what Rick Bradbury said. Full page apology ads are the future of print media. That's funny. See, now here's what I'm going to say: losing, because advertising is the most controlled element of the marketing mix. You pay for it. It comes out that way. It's your font. It's your stuff. If they mess it up, you get to come back to them as the customer and drop the hammer, or give them an exploding phone, whatever works for you enforcement wise. But, a full page apology ad is not good enough in 2016. First of all, they haven't really explained, what happened. What's wrong with your quality control? To reestablish trust when your brand has been covered like this is going to be a lot more than running full page apology ads. I get it. I know you run full page apology ads so you can control it. It's one of these things I call the appearance of marketing, right? It appears as if you have done your job and it's an apology, but it's not a real apology because you haven't allowed anybody to comment on it. You haven't engaged people in a real dialogue about it. You haven't really explained what's going down with what happened. You haven't really, done your Scooby-Doo like investigation and gone, well, zoinks, we figured out that it was that this is what happened, and you didn't do that little part at the end of Scooby-Doo where you're like, and this is why the phone exploded, right? And that is why, and that's the piece that it needs to be there, because otherwise, how do you trust them again? And I think so. Again, I'm gonna put them in losing for that. And also, I think I put Wells Fargo in the same category. Again, full page apology ads are not the way to accomplish that. They can be a tactic in it, but it shouldn't be the whole strategy. It's very safe, very safe, and honestly a little bit too safe when you're trying to do stuff like that. So let's talk about, so we put Samsung and losing there. Also losing these shopping apps. I read a story that came out that said a study shows that only 8% of shoppers use retailer mobile apps. And then the whole premise of the story was, should they give these up? And it's all these different, mobile apps that retailers have aren't being traveled as much. They're not being downloaded as much. They're not being used as much. Only 8% of people are really using those apps. The point is, the consumers really aren't using the retailer's own apps. I think this is an interesting thing for us to look at. Obviously, these apps, we're going to put them in the losing column this week. But one thing that I will, say about it is they are using apps in your store. Consumers are using apps in your store. But it is quite possible that when they're in your store, they want a second opinion is a good way to say it, right? If I'm in your store, let's say I'm in the Gap, am I really going to pull up the Gap ad? It's like the Gap's got me. I'm looking at their signage. You've got me there. People are looking at me. Why am I at the Gap in the first place? Well, I don't even know why that was an example I used. I didn't even shop at the Gap. But let's say I was there. Let's say it's fiction. I'm there. I'm buying something, and let's say I download the Gap app. I never have, by the way, but let's say I did. I'm not sure that I would open that app at that particular time at that store. I'm not sure that I would open up Target's app in Target and do that kind of thing. I might go onto another app, a Google app perhaps, and find out if what I'm buying is priced, appropriately across the rest of the web. We've all done that, right? You show up to buy that new HD TV, and you're like, well, let's take a quick look here. How's Costco got this thing? Everybody wants to make sure, right? And you can do that faster than ever, more conveniently than ever, even if it just makes you kind of feel better about the sale price that you're getting. But anyway, I'm going to put the retailer's own shopping apps in the losing cart this week. Also losing, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is getting a new threat from an unexpected sort of enemy. Facebook has now threatened LinkedIn by starting to say, well, we're going to start doing job openings on Facebook. And according to a story in TechCrunch this week, Facebook might muscle in on LinkedIn's recruiting business with ways for the business pages to start promoting their job listings. Right, the new job features give companies another reason to drive traffic to their Facebook page beyond marketing their products in just the news feed, which doesn't work, by the way. Don't ever do that. While also allowing them to pay the social network to get their open position in front of more candidates. That's kind of interesting. So, and obviously, we talked about last week, Facebook having that record revenue anyway, especially from its advertising. This is definitely going to be a threat to LinkedIn. This is definitely going to be a problem for them. Facebook, has the largest audience of any social network by a good lot. Over 1 billion people. And so here's my question that I'll throw out there is, do people want an all-in-one social network? I mean, Facebook does a lot of things now. It's really muscled in on eBay with its new, merchandise selling feature, and that's kind of interesting too because you're geolocating things. And like I opened it up, and because I have listed where I live on Facebook, the things that are coming to me are geolocated to where I am. This person's got this thing for sale, and they're just down the street from you, and they're selling a dresser, and this person's selling, a new guitar, all kinds of things. So, or not a new guitar, but, new to me. So, that's kind of interesting, but I just wonder if Facebook is going to be able to be kind of best in class at all of these different things that it's trying to do. Your traditional marketing logic, says, that you can only, remember the book, Good to Great? Premise of the book, do less. Do less and be great at it, right? This flies right in the face of that logic. It says, let's, this is like Facebook wants to be like the McDonald's, of this. It's like, hey, you like pizza? McPizza. You like chili? McChili. You like tacos? McTacos. And believe me, McDonald's has tried all of those things unsuccessfully throughout the years, and will continue to. They always have a part in their menu where they're shooting out new crazy stuff all the time. And what they found out is that people really just wanted to have the stuff that they sold only till 10:30, but all day long. And they said, oh, well, we can do that. No problemo. So see, listening to the customer never fails. But back to Facebook for a second. I just wonder if they're going to be able to, and that's why I put them in. I put LinkedIn in the losing category. LinkedIn is in the losing category because they're going to face this huge threat from Facebook, and they're going to have to step it up with these job listings. But then I wonder from Facebook's perspective, are they spreading themselves a bit too thin for their billion people, in 47 languages or whatever, now that they're going to have job listings and they've got merchandise for sale and they've got, events and they've got, all business pages and regular people pages and all these kind of things. And they own Instagram on the photo side of things and everything. I mean, do you wonder that Facebook maybe has spread itself a hair too thin with this jobs thing? I think it'll be interesting to watch. It'll be an interesting thing to continue to watch. But for right now, definitely a threat for LinkedIn. Also on the Facebook side of things, which I wanted to kind of throw out there, I saw a story that was that basically shows how brands can promote their chatbots with targeted Facebook ads. And I'm sure this sounds like a fantastic idea to somebody. Well, we can now promote our chatbots with our targeted Facebook ads. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be the next big thing. It's not. Nobody wants to talk to your damn chatbot. All right? Just so you know. Nobody wants to talk to you. And the second thing they don't want to talk to you about is your chatbot. Right? Get over yourself. Hire some real people. And honestly, who wants to chat with somebody that's advertising on Facebook anyway? It's like either you have something I want. It's like, I'm not going to go, well, I got a gig this weekend. It's going to be great, man, chatbot. What do you think about that? Geez, what are you wearing? So what the hell is that even supposed to be? Marketing. What's the matter with you? Put that in that category. That's what I'll say. Cleansing breath. And we're moving on to Toys R Us. Winning this week. I love what Toys R Us is doing for the holidays. We talked about experiential marketing a couple shows ago. Check this out. Toys R Us goes experiential. The story in Marketing Daily reports that and this is brilliant what they're going to do. They're going to do no wait photos for Santa Claus. They're going to do toy testing stations where they take stuff out of the box and they show you how to put it together. Holy Lord, is that the best thing I've ever heard of my. You know how many Lego sets and things I assembled for my kids at 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to cram that stuff together. It's dark and you're trying not to make any sound. You know, my stepdad and I, we put together this Little Tykes, this full giant playhouse. You know, it looks like that little kids can run around in the playhouse. And we're trying to bang this stupid thing together at like, it must have been, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, just getting super frustrated. Kids are going to get you up at when the sun, touches the sky. Believe me, you're going to be up at 5:59. And so when you go to bed at 2 a.m., it's not going to be a happy day for you. But I love the things that Toys R Us are doing at their stores this year. They're thinking, so I mean, how smart is this? Obviously, Toys R Us not hurting for business anyway. But they're doing things where, why not get your picture taken with Santa Claus? Where else? At the toy store. Now, somebody is using the thinking cap, baby. And testing out toys and showing parents how to put these things together before you reach the critical time of putting it together, on Christmas Eve, ridiculously smart. Ridiculously. They are going to make their stores, they're going to do so much better business this year. And they have these like professional Santa portraits and all these kind of things they're going to be doing. I think it's genius. I think it's absolute, not anything short of complete genius. It's exactly the right time of year to do it. It's exactly the right time to play around with it. It's exactly the things that people are going to want. It is going to be a huge success. And that's all it takes, honestly, people, is just, is just thinking stuff through. Got to say, be amazed. Last quick one thing I wanted to say is, there's all these reports about the Grubhub CEO saying that anybody who voted for Trump was going to have to resign from the company. And everybody's like, oh, my God, you can't do that, and it's totally illegal, and this kind of thing. And the media just ran with the story. But he didn't say that. That's not what the stuff said. So I'm going to put him in the winning/losing/ unclear what your intentions are type of category. But the CEO of Grubhub's out there, basically saying, you have he was basically trying to say that they're a fair-minded company and a lot of kind of things. And it got a little bit misinterpreted. Check out that story on your own for a little bit more information. But that's who's winning and losing this week. And you are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back. I'm going to give you some tips to make your marketing more ethical and stuff.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Girls are talking rock again.
And people are listening.
Today we're talking bands.
Let's talk promotion. Red Giant promo, graphics, EPKs, video, photos, social media, and brand building using content marketing.
But let's talk studio at CCMA, which is events, rehearsal, tour prep, piano, guitar, voice, rock band, lessons, workshops, and clinics. Yeah!
Both proud sponsors of Girls Talk Rock.
Well, get the lowdown on these services and contact me, Tracy, at girlstalkrock.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Yeah, you're tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, and we just did Winning and Losing. Paul, you out there? What'd you like this week?
I'm here. I also agree that apology ads wouldn't do anything for me. I don't have a Samsung that exploded in my face, but just in general, my approach to stuff like that is, I don't know. You have to mean it, or you have to offer some sort of recompense if you wronged somebody. Just empty gestures like that, they're just going to make you look weak.
Yeah, it's the same old warmed over corporate communications garbage that everybody doesn't trust anyway. Yep. It's like, so, and the copy of the ad, like I said, I was like, you got to give us something. You got to give us something there. You can't, you got to say, we found the people responsible and we gave them all a big wedgie. And you know what I mean? And here's a picture of us giving wedgies, in factories all around the world. It's like something has got to come out there that says, we fixed the problem. Chipotle had the same thing. They had that big meeting, with all the people, and they said, we're going to shut down and we're going to sit down. Everybody's going to have a company-wide meeting and everything kind of thing. And everybody's like, is there, are people going to start using hand sanitizer, or are you going to, is there going to be some soap involved? Because we're guessing that the E. coli, I'm not a biologist here, but going to say that, a little hand washing probably solves the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's probably hard to expose yourself to, if it's something that's completely systemic where you can't just point, oh, this was like a couple of bad apples and they've been fired and everything's back on track. Most likely it's something that's systemic and goes to a high level and you just can't admit that to the public is my guess.
Yeah, probably true. Probably true. Well, that was a good one. Yeah, a full page apology ads, like, just stop it. Just stop. And Wells Fargo, you can stop too, it doesn't, they don't work. At least, they don't work.
At least Samsung seems like is due to incompetence. Wells Fargo is just straight up crookery.
Straight up. Hey, you could win a trip to Hawaii if you open if you get your customers to open as many accounts as you possibly can, that kind of thing. And you're just like shaking your head going, really?
I'm going to need 2 page ads to apologize for that.
Yeah, thank you. Full page apology ad. All righty then. Well, lots of winning and losing out there. This show, we are talking about ethical marketing. We are talking about persuasion as it relates to ethical marketing. And it's a fascinating topic. So far we've really discussed, a few ethical situations. And there are many more that we could delve into. Like I said, honestly, we touch on this almost everything that we were doing in the winning and losing column. You can dig into some of the ethics behind, all of those things as well. But, I wanted to, in the remaining time that we have on the show here in this segment, I wanted to delve a little deeper in terms of some ethical tips. I like to, in the last segment, I like to give you guys some takeaways that hopefully you can, have in your mind. You can think about the next time that you're, putting plans together and putting programs out there as a marketer. So, the problem that I see with like the lion's share of marketing approaches out there that I see is that they sort of lack actual thought. Not like the Toys R Us one that we saw, lots of thought going in there, lots of listening and lots of thought. And you can tell because it's brilliant. But most marketing is treated like sort of a to-do list of boxes that we need to check, rather than thought of as a series of steps that lead us to our ultimate goal of persuasion. I sit in a lot of marketing meetings and they talk tactics a lot. We've got this flight hitting here of ads here. We've got this public relations thing going on here. But the larger question is, are we moving people? Are we persuading people? Are we getting the behavior that we're looking for? Are we getting the perceptions that we're looking for? And it doesn't always happen that way, but it really can. Honestly, all it takes is a little bit of thought, a little bit of empathy, and really kind of just the golden rule, do unto others, treat others like you want to be treated. That's going to get you quite far. But with that in mind, I've got 5 tips for you. The first tip, understand from the very beginning of your marketing campaign that your presence is neither requested nor welcomed. Your message is fundamentally an interruption to whatever it is that they're doing. You are not there by invitation. Now, with that in mind, what are you going to do to earn your place? What are you going to do to earn your place in their minds? How are you going to make it great? And folks ask me about that all the time. They say, what do you mean, make it great? For whoever your tribe is, using the Seth Godin term, for whoever the tribe you're trying to reach is out there, what do they want? What do they need? What is your brand's place in their lives? We'll just go back to Apple for a second. Apple does a fantastic job with its brand. All of its products kind of tie into its main message, which is the fact that, boy, aren't you something, man? You are going to be incredible. Look at all the things that you can do. Wow, aren't you great? Yay for you with our products, right? There's like a yay for you with our products message in everything they do, right? But they lead with the yay for you, and that's how they get it. That's how they kind of Trojan horse that bad boy into your brain, because you're already out there saying, yay for me. Yay for me. Look at this. Look how cool I am. Look at this is great. Look at this car I drive. Look at this new jacket I have. Look at this, look at all these things, that are going on in my life. Isn't this great for me? Check me out, and we all do it. I mean, it's not just we all have ego. Ego is in the minds, and it's there for a reason, obviously need to keep it in check. There's no doubt about that, just from an interpersonal standpoint, but we all have it, and you can't deny that you have it. You can't, oh, not me. I'm a completely selfless person, and I never think of myself. It's like, now it's time for you to touch the planet Earth right now, because none of that's true. It may make you feel better. It may, I speak about this on panels sometimes. I'm like, you gotta be honest. If Dr. Phil were here, he'd be like, it's your canoe. You gotta get in a row. You know what I mean? It's your baggage. So it's like, absolutely, you gotta understand that. But again, the brilliance of what Apple does with their message, and the reason that their message is not an interruption. When's the last piece of spam that you got from Apple? Never, right? I know, right? When's the last telemarketing call that you got from them? I know. Never. Correct. Also a correct answer. They're classy. Their brand is classy. They don't do needy, desperate, things for their brand. They don't have to, right? And that is the brand, ladies and gentlemen. Being confident in what you do and knowing who you are, and knowing and not bowing to that desperation and that neediness that causes people to retarget ads. As I've said many times, if you are retargeting people, stop right now. Find out whoever was responsible in your organization and give them a wedgie right now. They need it. They need it in a big way. There's no way in hell that's building relationships for you. There is no way that's working for you in terms of your brand. Don't do stuff like that. Look at what the big boys do, and do the stuff that they do well, right? And it always starts with, I was at a meeting this week, and people said, oh, what would you recommend I do first? I got to do a website, or, am I going to do a Facebook page? And there's like a panting puppy with the friggin' milk bone. And I said, chill out. The message is what you do first. You get the message right, and it's almost impossible to mess it up. If you get the message wrong, it's going to be impossible to get it through. Okay? So the message is critically important. Critically important. And again, understand from the very beginning that your presence, your message isn't really wanted. So you better understand what they do want, and you better find a way to make a, neural coupling link, from what they want to what you got, and then you're able to do a lot better job marketing. Number 2, always take long-term relationships over short-term sales. Always. In fact, sacrifice short-term sales for long-term relationships. Your company needs to be in business not for this 30 days, not till you close your next round of funding, but forever, right? So every relationship you have out there and every potential customer that you touch has a potential to be a long-term relationship for your brand. You never want to sacrifice that to try to pump up your metrics. And and digital marketers, man, you guys need to listen to this, and I mean listen good. The fact is, you've got all these metrics in the world, but just like the people who tried to predict the presidential race, they don't mean squat. They don't mean squat how many likes, how many impressions you have, how much you have. The only thing that matters in marketing is relationships. That is the only thing, because that is the only thing that is going to lead to business for your brand and keep people on the carousel. There's so many approaches that I see out there. Every approach that has telemarketing involved in it is basically saying, well, if we call 1 million people and we get if we call 1 million people and we get 0.0119, then we have a short-term sale and that's going to be results. Shoot yourself. Honest to God. There is no way that is a good approach. You are exactly the problem that all of us listening to this show are trying to solve out there in the marketplace. Don't do that stuff. Don't let people do that stuff. That stuff is bad. It completely tarnishes the reputation of marketing. And yes, we still kind of have one out there despite all the stuff that's going on. Long-term relationships. Do things that bring people in closer to you and keep them there as long as you can, So anyway, beat that. I should have a sound effect for like a horse so I can move on to tip number 3. Tip number 3, look for ways to attract people to your brand, and then you won't have to interrupt them so much. Again, we've talked about the first part of the show. We talked about attraction marketing versus interruption marketing. This plays into ethics because, it is more, I believe it's a more ethical approach to try to bring people to you. It's more respectful, right? And interruption marketing is sort of fundamentally disrespectful. I went to I told you I was at a presentation earlier this week, and they talked about, and I keep thinking about this idea of cold calling, and companies when you're cold calling businesses, basically what you're saying is, I want something as a company, and I don't care what I have to do to get what I want, right? Essentially, you're putting your needs above the customer's needs. They have the need to go about and do their job, but you don't have any problem interrupting them because you are prioritizing your needs over theirs. That is fundamentally unethical to me. You don't, and there's a better way to do it. And people say, oh, well, Scott, get off your high horse. I got to sell things. I got to eat. I got to do things. Hey, guess what, Tiger? There's a new way. There's a better way to do it. And the better way is, why don't you take all that time that you will be making cold calls and walking around your office and try and call people for the 9th and 10th time and stalking people outside their office and all that garbage. And why don't you just put that time into making your message something that draws people to it, like the next episode of Star Wars? Why don't you do that? Why don't you build a message that draws people to it like flies, and then, reveals why they should be in business with you, why they should be on the brand carousel with you, and then you won't have to interrupt them so much. Believe me, the era of interruption marketing is over. And so you need to get on the idea of the fact that you need to do things that are so great it can bring people to your brand. I mean, do we need to talk about Toys R Us again? You know, Daddy, I want my picture with Santa. Well, you can go to the country club. You can go to the Elks Club. Oh, I can go to Toys R Us. Oh, and what else can I do at Toys R Us? Oh, I can learn how I can put these toys together. Oh, and the kids can walk around and show me all these kind of things. I can wrap up all of this. No offense, but I can handle all of this stuff at once, right? You know, and then they don't have to interrupt me with that message. They don't have to call me on telemarketing and go, "Are you coming down for the Toys R Us thing?" I'm like, I wouldn't miss the Toys R Us. I was going to call you and tell you to make sure you're open. That's what you want. That is what you want right there. Tip number 4. If it feels wrong to you, don't do it. You know, we were given this intuition as marketers for a big, big reason. There are so many times in my career where people have asked to kind of do things that have felt wrong to me, and I feel pretty good about my record, about being able to tell them, no, I don't think this is right. I don't think this is going to be good for business. I don't think this is strategic. I don't think this is the way to go. And people ultimately respect you for it. Clients will. You know, even if, you know, and like I said, I have, maybe it's a gift, maybe it's a curse, but I don't care if it's the CEO's brother, the CEO's daughter, the CEO's whoever who has the idea. If it's a bad idea, if it's a dumb idea, baby, you're going to hear about it. There's no way it's going to market without you having some, you know, idea from me that we shouldn't be doing this, that kind of thing. And that's how you do things that, and instead of like, you know, coming out with your Starbucks green coffee cups or whatever, and all the things that Starbucks does that tend to tick people off. Anyway, last tip, listen to your customers twice as much as you talk. Very, very important. You know, your insight about how to serve them is going to come from that, and we have so many great tools that will help you. You know, Dale Carnegie said, a man convinced against his will holds the same opinion still. And there is just so much truth in that for us marketers. You know, persuasion is the subtle and gentle art of getting your audience to do and think the things that will benefit your brand. But there really is an ethical and, dare I say, respectful way to do it that's going to get you what you really want, which is strong long-term relationships that's going to lead to ongoing business and brand loyalty. You know, ethics is, you're going to face ethical situations every single day in your career, you know, and all you can do is have your opinion about it. All you can do is try to guide your clients to the best possible decision, the best possible ethical decision with a long-term goal for your business. And that's it for me, sports fans. Until next week, this is Scott Robertson signing off from May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. We'll see you next week. You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?